This is Southeast Power Sports. I'm going to show you how to change a dome on an aftermarket cylinder head for two-stroke. They're all pretty much the same. There's not much difference between them. This is an 87 TRX 250R that we have a ESR 330 cylinder on it with a CT Racing head. I've already removed all the nuts and stuff just to shorten down the video. All you just do is remove your nuts, remove whatever in the way. There's your head, and then I've already removed the O-rings and cleaned the passages on them. You want to make sure your passages are nice and clean. So we're going to go over here at the bench. So what I like to do, take an old spark plug, just give it a tap, pops right out. So we were getting 195 PSI on this machine. It's way too high for pump fuel. And I called CT Racing and asked for a bigger dome dish. They probably have, you can see differences. It looks like it's a little bit thicker here or wider here, more area. So the more air you have in your dome, the less compression you're going to run. Smaller the area, the higher the compression. So when you hit about 180 psi, you're going to start running race fuel or high octane fuel. You go from like a 93 to jump up to like 100 octane avgas with lead. A lot of guys run them. Some guys will take race gas and mix it with 93 to get something in between. So it all depends where your compression ratio is sitting. That's a big factor in finding out what kind of octane fuel you need. So where we ride, it's 91 octane, no ethanol. It's mostly northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan, and that's the predominant fuel that's up there. So then you see you have an O-ring on the base. They supplied me with one. I also have O-rings for the head that I'm going to go put new O-rings on it. And this is important. You always want to grease your O-rings. What this does, it helps the installation for one. And grease is a petroleum product and will make the rubber expand and tighten your seal up. So that's a huge thing by greasing. And you see they have an arrow. So there's an arrow here, a little indentation. You can see they got some markings on here. It says pump gas, pump 330. I imagine this is a 35 cc dome. This was supposedly supposed to be pumped, but like I said, the PSI is way too high on it. You can't run it. Will detonate if on pump gas. So we're going to take in line. We got a nice mark, little back mark here for it. I'm going to line it up. Sometimes I'll push in right by hand, which is nice and easy. That's literally ready to go back on the machine. And then you're going to take and you're going to grease your cylinder O-rings as well. You can also grease paper gaskets. Greasing paper gaskets, if you ever had to take let's say an engine side cover off, greasing them, the gasket will come right off. You won't ruin your gasket. If you use like a spray tack or anything like that, you're going to destroy your gasket the next time you open it up. So we're going to go over here. Adjust this a little bit. Sometimes you have to stretch your O-ring. If it doesn't want to sit in a groove like this one, just take it, give it a little stretch. If they are too small, I should say sometimes if they're too large, you can put them in the freezer and they will shrink a bit. If you don't feel like waiting, give them a little stretch. And that one's in there. put the cylinder back on. You always usually have copper washers on a two-stroke because you have coolant passages running through it and they have to seal. Some guys will put silicone in the air car nuts, but if it's done right, I don't think you need to do that. Make sure you don't have any debris in the area where your nuts go. So I'm going to put this back together, and then I'm going to do how to do a squish test on this machine and then a compression test to see where we're at.